How do you craft a vision to reach ambitious goals?
Well, actually, I wouldn't do it this way, okay? Because this is presuming that you start with the goals in mind and then you build your vision. I think it's important to try to imagine the world in which you want to live. And from that place to say, okay, how can I contribute to this world that I would like to see? Once you see that, then that's your vision. That's where, your purpose, where you can be. So then you can work on the goals. Then you can build, different ambitious goals around that. But I would start with looking at the world, take an helicopter view and see the place that you want to have in it.
How do you communicate to get the most out of your team?
Frequently is one thing, a mix of different things. So people need to have one-to-ones to be able to have intimacy. They also need to have, team meetings where you give you don't only give directions. You need to provide a vision, as we've just talked. That vision can be shared between the team members. That's very important. So make sure that everybody is participating in any meeting or any time that you're together. Have a why for your team. That's very important, the purpose aspect. Have values for your team so they understand where they stand with those values. Have norms, which are derived from your values, which are about what is the team supposed to do in terms of behavior every day. If you have those things in place, you will have teams that naturally communicates, and it's not the job of the boss to become responsible for all of it.
What is a mindset everyone needs to have to stay committed and disciplined?
I'll use the book from Carol Dweck called Mindset, uh, because it's a simple framework and it's a good framework. It basically talks about fixed and growth mindset. So I believe that the mindset that everybody should have is growth, which is focused on having a lot of curiosity, being able to see opportunities in life, being able to fail, and accept that that's okay and that you will learn from it. So it's a curious spirit, it's a resilient spirit against fixed mindset, which is very much thinking that we're born the way we are and we don't change. So growth mindset is we can grow, we can expand, we can explore. So that's for me the most powerful mindset.
How do you resolve miscommunication before it turns into a conflict?
Well, the first thing is when there is miscommunication, usually it's because we're making assumptions. We're making assumptions about what the person think. We don't know what they think. We might not necessarily have heard it, but we do make assumptions. So we build a story in our own mind about what's going on. That story might be true, but most of the time it's not, particularly if you're heading for a conflict. Most humans don't have a negative intent. They have a positive intent. There is a reason for why they do what they do. So the best way to avoid miscommunication and which ends up in a conflict is to be able to sit down with a person and talk about what you feel about what they said, if you feel hurt about what they said. Not accusing them, but just explaining what you feel and asking them what they feel about the situation. It usually always works, except if the person in front of you has a negative intent. If the person has a negative intent, then you will have a conflict, and that's okay too. I mean, we have to stand for what we believe in sometimes.
How do you give feedback to motivate your team to have a strong mindset?
Well, there's many different ways of giving feedback. I do two things actually. I use feedback and I use feed forward. Feedback is, well, you sit with a person. If you see that there is a behavior that is not according to who they want to be, because that's a very important point. If you want to give feedback to somebody, you want to try to connect it to who they would like to be, not to who you would want them to be. So the first work to do with people is to help them establish the person they want to be. Then giving them feedback about when they are not that person, when they don't behave that way is much easier because you're able to tell them, look, you told me that's the person you want to be, but in this case, you were not. So having standards, agreed standards with a person, the ones they build themselves, but also the one you have in your team, it's always a good way to come back to constructive feedback. Feed forward is more interesting as engaging others in improving themselves. So when I use feed forward, I come with something I want to improve, and I ask team members about, okay, how can I improve that? And I ask them for one idea to do this. When you do this, it's good for you, but it's also good for the others to understand that you're vulnerable around feedback yourself. You're basically coming to them, telling them there is something I'm not good at. And that will help them feel that they can also open up to what they are not good at and how they can improve.
How do you establish confidence after you face failure?
Well, I first thing I do is to sit down, let my feelings and emotions go through me because it's important to sit with it. I mean, we sometimes go a bit too fast. I can sometimes just say I'm going to try to brush it off. But it's important to actually know how you feel about it, where it's coming from, where is the disappointment that you have. And then after it's a way for me of I'm a very analytical person, so I like to look at what did I do? How did I do it? What could have been done differently? And then I try something new next time and see if it works. At the end of the day, it's also accepting, having the mindset and the belief that failure is an experimentation that has not gone according to what you wanted it to be. One experiment is just one experiment. Edison took 1,000 experiments to invent the light bulb. So if he could do that for 1,000 times, it shouldn't take us down to have just one failure.
What is one phrase or quote you live by to push through the difficult situations?
Well, it's my life purpose, so I'll quote myself on this one, is to know, design, and become myself. That's always a way, because for me, it's always a way about the way I'm progressing in life. So I know that when I do this, it works well for me.